Hi, my name's Kathy Miller and this week we're looking at AK Interactive streaking effects. This week's all about streaking. It's about that vertical pattern you get when rain runs down and washes dirt down or rust down the side of a boxcar or locomotive. So definitely time to get all those photos out, have a look and look at the streaking, and sometimes even on quite clean locomotives that are on show or restored, you can see quite a lot of streaking. So it's not just a case of these old clapped out box cars that have got loads of mud on them. You get streaks even on new cars. This week we're looking at streaking effects, and these are one of my favourite products, I will admit, from military modelling. I just love them. They're just enamel paints, but I love the winter streak and grime colour. It's possible to get that excited by a colour of streak and grime. So I'm going to show you how you might use them on this box car that, now, this box car, bless it, got soaked its side in streak and grime. Yep, I knocked over a whole bottle of brown streak and grime. It was not a pretty look. I was not very happy. It's not the first bottle of brown streak and grime that I've knocked over either. So I keep buying these sets going, oh, I've got multiple colours, and then knocking them over thinking, oh, that's not a bad thing. But they're very simple to use. So in this set, we've got three colours. We've got winter streak and grime, we've got rust streaks, and we've got normal streak and grime. Not as much left of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide where I'm going to put these colours. And I know this is going on to a very mucky. I would normally have done a wash, something a bit thinner than a streak and grime to fill out these. And we looked a couple of weeks ago at a neutral grey wash. You could use that just to run along here and it would go into these gaps. My streak and grime has effectively done that because I've cleaned it out. But what I do is I literally take the streak and grime, and this is quite browny. So I use it for this bit under here and I just run it along as a colour there. And this isn't what it finally looks like, don't panic. And you literally just put it in, and you want to build up a bit on the surface, but leave it in that gap. And you can see there's a lot of this already on this car. Now for my favourite colour, which is winter streak and grime. Now this is a greeny brown, and I love it. Don't ask me why you can get so excited about a colour, but it is. So it's got more of a green tinge, and I really like it for the bottom of cars like this. It's a bit thicker actually, I'll shake it a bit more. So I'm going to put it on quite thickly. Now it's very hard to find photos of wood-sided box cars in colour. They are quite, they don't run as much, so it's hard to work out what they would have looked like at the time. So I'm going with quite heavy weathering because these were in the steam era, and I think there was a lot of crud flying around from those steam locos. So there we go. Spread it out. You can see it flows a little bit up the lines, but not a huge amount. And I guess one of the reasons for using it with all the existing stuff in rather than a clean car is I just want to show you can make a complete mess of these and it's not the end of the world. Okay, I'm going to let these dry quite a bit because I want them to, I'm going to sort of put it up so that that sits down in the bottom and pulls a little. The last thing I'm going to do is do the rust. And on this box car, there's only one place really you can do rust, and that's on these hinges. So I'm going to take the rust streaks, give them a good shake. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of rust on these. I've got to make sure it actually goes onto the thing underneath. And here we go. There we go. So I'm going to put a little blob, ooh, that was a big blob, on some of these areas. Leave that for a few minutes to dry up. This has been drying for, I don't know, 20 minutes, really, maybe. And I guess I went and did a few emails and sorted a few things out. So now it's just the bit of, this is white spirit. Any white spirit will do, but this is MIG thinner for washes because I'm using it up. Not too much on your brush. It's quite a manky brush, which I use for this because it's fairly ruined. And then you just need to drag it down. And the streaking grime drags, if you use too much white spirit, you just clean it off effectively. There we go. And I think it works very differently on a wood-sided car such as this to a more sort of a flatter car. You get a very different effect. Actually, and I'm not at all happy with that rust going up, so I'm just going to streak it down. And then the streaking grime from the bottom up. Now, because this is quite solid, when you do it, it drags in a lovely way. And depending how much white spirit you have on your brush depends how easily it comes off. If you put quite a lot on, it'll come off easily. If you don't put as much on, it won't be as easy. And you can see the rust streaks just coming in as well. Now, at this stage, I think it looks a bit mucky, if I'm honest. So I just take my my cotton bud, and I just try and take some of it just down a bit so it's not as dark. Now this has had a lot down the gaps because this is the one I spilt everywhere. So I just find if you do this, you just get a slightly less mucky looking car. And you can brush it both ways. There we go. Now the final thing I might do, and that is just take another bit of the winter streaking grime, which is this one, and I might just run a final little bead. And the reason for this is, if you see where I've pulled it up, it's actually getting quite pale right at the bottom. And that just happens because of the way your brush hits the surface, and it cleans the high bits first. But I don't want a lot, so I literally just run it, just literally like this, just to take that very shiny bottom sort of section there off. You see what I'm doing? Now, I've got to say, you have to let these dry. And quite often, once I've let them dry, I do go and take a little bit more off because I find it's just a bit too much. But it's as easy as that to weather your cars. Don't forget your roofs. I do like this pack. It's got 3 great products. I love Winter Streaking Grime. It's probably my all-time favourite. It's not too brown a colour. It's got a little bit of green in it. I love it. I use it a lot on structures, to be honest. Some of these cars look a little bit muddy, and that is because they had a huge amount of brown thrown down the side of them by mistake. And also then when it's stuck, it's stuck. But this is the steam era, and the cars probably would be quite grubby because it's harder to clean wood-sided cars. They're not particularly smooth, and there'd be a lot of soot around. You can get some really good, subtle and quite heavy sort of outcomes depending on how much you put on. So it really is about putting probably slightly less on than I used in this instance, but unless you're planning on flooding the entire lot with the entire bottle like I did, you're probably safe. And then it's worth saying, have a play. I took these photos on my Hipstamatic app, and sometimes for these older cars, black and white's more appropriate, and it wipes a lot of the weathering out. You don't see all the subtle variations, but you do get that feeling that these cars are old and battered. So on this week's instalment of the Mini Cathy Show, well, it's moving up a bit. It's O-scale Cathy. Well, thank you, Big Scale Cathy. It's good to be here too. So O-scale Cathy, I hear you're the creative one. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm the one who has all the mad ideas that she uses to make her YouTube channel great. I am, honest. So, I'm planning a big action movie. I mean, I think the Mini Cathys deserve their own show. Well, a whole show just to you. Yeah, I think they should get their own YouTube channel. I mean, Red vs Blue is very popular and they're just little boys running around in helmets. I'm sure we can do the same with the Mini Cathys. I mean, they've got millions of people watching them. I'm sure we can be similar. Well, yeah, I'm fascinated. I'd listen. Of course I'd subscribe. Yeah. Big plans. We're going to do a day in life of the Mini Cathys. Do you understand what it's like to be? Just to be a woman in a small world. Or actually, it's a small woman in a big world, really, isn't it? And then we're doing an action movie. Yeah. There's going to be floods, explosions, hail, lightning, thunder. And of course, an asteroid from space will demolish and destroy the house. Action movie? Explosions? Fog? Floods? Asteroid? You're not having an asteroid from space. I'm not having the house destroyed. I don't care how creative it is. No. Tune in next week. Oh, I know, it's Mill-Scale Cathy next week. And then it's on to my big plans. So you'll see a huge improvement to the Mini Cathy segments because I'm in charge now. Yeah, I am. Well, that was fascinating from Mill-Scale Cathy. She's got great ideas. Whoa, yeah, really great ideas. I'm not sure all of them will happen. The asteroid from space, not happening. I'm not having the house obliviated. I don't care whether it's... Yeah, anyway, moving on. Really exciting week. Thank you, Mini Cathy, for being with us today. It's been really exciting. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for having me, Big Cathy. It's been great fun. Really look forward to working with you in the future. Yep.